classroom got hurt. I just saw blood everywhere.
Heartbreak at a Florida high school.
He went up and down the hallway, just banging and shooting into the classrooms. He shot through my door and broke the window.
Kids ran away as parents ran toward them.
We're in a real code red, Dad. Get me ASAP. It's not a drill. I hear gunshots.
Tonight, a community is in shock.
When it's your backyard, when it's your child that's hiding, it's just a little different, you know? It's a very sad day.
After a shooter leaves more than a dozen dead.
Anything can happen within seconds, and we all have to treat each other with love and respect and kindness, because whatever caused this, it was caused by hate, pure confusion.
Right now, the suspect is in custody as investigators search for a reason why.
First, live, local. The 5 o'clock news starts now on Fox 12 Oregon. Live from Fox 12 Oregon, this is breaking news.
And we do begin with breaking news tonight. A school shooting in South Florida has left 17 people dead. Another 14 were taken to the hospital. The Broward County Sheriff's Office says the suspect is in custody, and investigators are beginning to dissect what exactly happened inside the walls of Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School. Good evening and welcome to the 5 o'clock news. I'm Pete Ferryman. Elizabeth has the night off. Let's take you live now to the crime scene, to that high school. The shot going in and out. We can tell you plenty of law enforcement on the scene there. Here's the shot once again. We have learned that the suspect is former student Nicholas Cruz, who is 19 years old. There was a time when the suspect was at large, but tonight he is in custody. Video from the air shows a man being handcuffed about a mile away from the school. This happened this afternoon. The sheriff says Cruz had been expelled from the school for unspecified disciplinary reasons. The high school is located in the city of Parkland. That's outside of Fort Lauderdale. Ironically, the National Council for Home Safety and Security called it the safest city in Florida last year. Fox 12's Nora Hart joins us now with what parents, students, and teachers are saying about today's tragedy.
Pete, it's just a heartbreaking situation. You can see parents embracing their kids near the shooting right outside the school there at Parkland. Well, some never made it home from school today, and the shock waves from that are far-reaching. As students rushed out of the school, their parents ran toward it.
We're in a real code red, Dad. Get me ASAP. It's not a drill. I hear gunshots. We just got a code red notification, so get me ASAP. There are gunshots in our school. Hell, someone died. Come now.
Honestly, I'm still in shock. I don't know whether it'll hit me tonight or tomorrow. Like I said, to me, it still almost feels like a drill. You know, it's just surreal to see, like, my mom and my aunt just crying, you know, waiting for me.
A nightmare unfolded today on campus as a shooter opened fire at a Parkland, Florida high school.
I heard 2 gunshots, and a lot of people were running out of that building, and the intercom spoke again and told us to code red, which is a lockdown. We returned to our building in our room. We locked the door and we stood around. Most people thought it was firecrackers.
Students ran from the school with their hands up.
It's insane. It's unnecessary. There's no words to describe how I feel right now. Like I was shaking. I was panicking. It was just all out panic throughout the school.
Teachers inside huddled with their students to try and keep safe.
We got maybe 15, 20 steps out of the classroom, and we were told that we were on code red. We ran back inside to the classroom and got down, crossed down on the floor. And then we moved into the closet, and we were hidden in the closet.
All the while, emergency crews tended to the injured on the ground. The shots started shortly before the end of the school day. Students say a fire alarm was pulled minutes before they heard the shots. Some students say they thought it was a drill or perhaps even a joke at first.
Kids were freaking out. Some kids froze. Some kids were on their phones. A lot were on their phones just trying to Snapchat everything because they thought it was a joke and it wasn't.
Now, students, parents, and staff are left in shock and processing a tragic day in history.
It's just different when it hits home, you know? You read about it, you see it when it happens in other places, but when it's your backyard, when it's your child that's hiding, it's just a little different, you know? It's a very sad day.
As for the suspect, authorities do have a man in custody. Take a look at this video. You can see police taking a handcuffed man and putting him onto a stretcher. Live in studio, Nora Hart, Fox 12 Oregon.
About an hour ago, the sheriff's office gave us a better idea of who that suspect is. Fox 12's Kelsey Watts joins us now with more. Kelsey.
Well, Pete, here's another look at the suspect, a man in a maroon shirt right here being put into this patrol car in handcuffs. This video was taken about a mile away from the school, roughly an hour and a half after those first 911 calls came in. Investigators say the 19-year-old was a former student who was expelled for disciplinary reasons. They say he had countless magazines and an AR-15 style rifle. The sheriff says they searched his social media accounts, and what they found online was, quote, very, very disturbing. Some students say they knew it was him.
Honestly, a lot of people were saying that it was going to be him, stuff like that. We threw a lot of kids threw jokes around like that, saying that he was going to be the one to screw up the school. But it turns out, you know, everyone predicted it. That's crazy.
The shooting happened at the end of the school day, and students speculate because he knew the schedule, he must have planned it that way. Now, in this video, you see him being escorted by police. Again, here's another look at the suspect here as he's wearing a hospital gown. Again, a lot of questions remain tonight, particularly about his motive. Live in studio, Kelsey Watts, Fox 12 Oregon.
President Trump did tweet about the shooting, sending his prayers and condolences to the families of the victims, saying no child, teacher, or anyone should ever feel unsafe in an American school. Another live look at the crime scene as law enforcement tries to determine what happened by going through the clues, any evidence they might be able to find. We'll continue to follow this story throughout the evening here on Fox 12. Coming up at 5:30, we know it's tough to talk to your children about this kind of tragedy. We talked to a local psychologist about how to have an age-appropriate discussion with them. Meanwhile, police in Washington arrested an 18-year-old student who they believe was planning a high school shooting. Everett police say officers arrested him on attempted murder charges after being contacted by his grandmother. Investigators say she showed them a journal where he drew up plans to shoot students and use homemade explosives. Detectives serving a search warrant at the grandmother's house seized several items, including the journal, a rifle, and some inactive grenades. All right, we turn our attention now to the weather. Many people in our area woke up to a dusting of snow. Most of the snow, of course, fell up in southwest Washington, as you can see here from Air 12. But some significant snow also fell up on Mount Hood. Take a look at the left side of your screen from our ski bowl camera. Just yesterday on Mount Hood, 6 climbers were rescued in a race against time before the storm that brought you the snow you see there on the left-hand side came in. Unfortunately, one climber died yesterday after falling near the Hog's Back area. Rescuers say he fell 700 to 1,000 feet. A Black Hawk helicopter took him to a Portland hospital, but he did not survive. Tonight, we've learned that man's name, and we're getting a more detailed account of the dangerous conditions up there. Fox 12's Jamie Wilson joins us now with more on what we've learned in the last 24 hours.
Yeah, as we've seen in that video and all day yesterday, it was a gorgeous day on the mountain yesterday, and it had been sunny for a few days, but that creates a cycle of melting and refreezing, building up an icy base on the mountain, and that stopped the climbers in their tracks and even led to one man's death. 35-year-old Miha Shumi is the climber who took a deadly fall on Mount Hood yesterday. His friend called 911 around 10:30 a.m., saying Shumi fell 700 to 1,000 feet in the Hog's Back area.
I'm on Mount Hood in the crater. My partner just fell. I'm maybe 600 feet beneath the summit, and he's maybe another 800 feet beneath me. I'm not sure if I can get to him.
A Black Hawk helicopter hoisted Shumi off the mountain and rushed him to Emmanuel Hospital, but he did not make it. Then another group of climbers got stuck on Hog's Back, worried the icy conditions might be deadly for them too. They decided to stay put and call for help. That's when Scott Norton with Portland Mountain Rescue and several other volunteers hit the slopes to reach them. Norton shot this video of the conditions.
The snow conditions were not ideal at all. It was extraordinarily icy, and the ice was quite loose, I think, from a number of days without any snowfall and a lot of sunshine.
Norton and his team found the stranded climbers by late afternoon, where one woman was physically and mentally drained. They carried her down part of the way on a stretcher.
They were happy to see us. And I think, they're still in a kind of a emotional trauma, and they just, were overwhelmed and just needed some help and some reassurance.
Norton's team set up a rope line to help the climbers on their descent, and a couple hours later, they arrived back at Timberline in a snowcat. Norton says it hurts to lose a fellow climber to the mountain, but helping the others makes his efforts worthwhile.
It's personally fulfilling to be able to positively affect people's lives and get them back to their families.
And we've learned that Shumi worked for a software company in Portland called Jet Reports. Officials there released a statement today saying he was a valued and beloved colleague, and his presence will be missed in the office. Live in studio tonight, Jamie Wilson, Fox 12 Oregon.
All right, Jamie, thank you. The timing was critical yesterday as they got those climbers off the mountain, because here's a look at Ski Bowl right now. As you can see, still lots of snow. That snow coming in last night. Icy conditions caused several school districts to close or issue 2-hour delays. In the Gorge, Corbett schools all closed for the day. In the Southwest Washington area, the Washougal School District and the North schools in the Battleground District closed as well. We stopped by Battleground High School, where we found snow on cars, snow covering the fields, and closure signs on the doors. Those icy conditions in Oregon sent one person to the hospital on Highway 26. The car hit a truck driver who was chaining up just after 8 o'clock this morning at Hummingburn Lane, east of Sandy. Oregon State Police say the victim was taken to the hospital with serious injuries but is expected to recover. The driver stayed at the scene and is cooperating with the investigation, but was issued a ticket for failure to drive within a lane. In Portland, PBOT says it did use de-icers and plows in the hills. Crews put down about 1,000 gallons of de-icer and plowed where the slushy snow was heavy. Let's turn to meteorologist Brian McMillan now.
Kind of a wild morning if you lived over on the east side or up at the upper elevations especially. Look at these are some of the snow totals that we had today. Washougal at 500 feet had the most at 4 inches. If you live out in Sandy or Corbett, you had a couple of inches here. Over on the west side, west of the West Hills, most spots in the lower elevations didn't get anything at all. Oh, look at this shot. This is live right now, you guys, from Lincoln City, our Chinookwan's beach camera. The sun is setting and couldn't get more gorgeous than that. 47 degrees is our temperature out there. I'm going to have details on another chance for snow, Pete. That's all coming up here in just a bit.
Brian, thank you.
5 o'clock news is just getting started.
Thanks, Brian. They're on TriMet buses and on a billboard, the controversial dating ads that are getting a lot of attention tonight and why TriMet is standing behind them. A house fire created so much smoke it could be seen from blocks away, the one thing that may have saved the woman who lived there. He resigned from the governor's office 3 years ago, but that wasn't the end of it. The new ethics investigation that could end in some major fines for John Kitzhaber. Fox 12 is continuing to follow breaking news out of southern Florida, where at least 17 people are dead after a school shooting. Here's a live look at some of the detectives looking through evidence tonight. The shots were reported shortly before the end of the school day at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida. The Broward County Sheriff's Office says the suspect, 19-year-old Nicholas Cruz, is in custody. The sheriff said that he's a former student and was expelled, but we do not yet know why. We're told the victims include both adults and students. 12 people were killed inside the walls of the school. Others died outside or at the hospital. We'll bring you updates throughout the night right here on Fox 12 and online at kptv.com. After a long investigation, a new report from the Oregon Government Ethics Commission says former Governor John Kitzhaber may have violated ethics laws 11 times while he was in office. Now, the commission will meet on Friday to decide whether it agrees with the report. Fox 12's Kelsey Watts joins us now with the details. Kelsey.
Well, Pete, that full report is nearly 200 pages long, but in it, staff say Kitzhaber violated 3 laws related to public office, some a number of times.
I, John Kitzhaber, do solemnly swear.
I, John Kitzhaber, do solemnly swear.
John Kitzhaber was the longest-serving governor in Oregon history, but he resigned in 2015 in the midst of a scandal involving potential ethics violations. Now, a new report from the Oregon Government Ethics Commission is shedding more light on what those violations may be. According to staff, Kitzhaber used his official position for personal financial gain or to avoid financial detriment for 3E Strategies, a consulting firm founded by his fiancée, Sylvia Hayes. The report says Hayes was given a policy position in his administration, which gave her the power to help shape policy and was a position for which she was paid. On top of that, the Ethics Commission says Kitzhaber failed to properly disclose potential conflicts of interest between his position, his fiancée, and her company. The report also says Kitzhaber improperly used frequent flyer miles for personal travel and permitted state employees to care for Sylvia Hayes' pets. In response to this report, lawyers for John Kitzhaber say he unequivocally rejects the suggestion that he used his public office to obtain a financial benefit for himself or Ms. Hayes. They argue that while the commission has already made preliminary findings that Sylvia Hayes violated ethics laws 22 times, Kitzhaber's case must be considered on its own merits, writing, "It would be unjustified to find former Governor Kitzhaber in violation of ethics laws based solely on the inadequate inference that because he had a personal relationship with Ms. Hayes, he was aware of her communications with others." Now, these findings have not been officially adopted. That is up to the commission to decide at its meeting in Salem on Friday. If they do agree with the report, Kitzhaber has the chance to appeal, and then the matter could be turned over to the courts. He's facing a maximum penalty of $5,000 per violation or a potential total of $55,000. Live in studio, Kelsey Watts, Fox 12 Oregon.
Kelsey, thank you. Let's turn to the weather right now. Here's a live look outside from our Shriners Hospital camera. Some clouds, a little break in the clouds there off on the horizon. Some snow last night in some places. Meteorologist Brian McMillan is here.
Don't bother me, Pete. I'm looking at this sunset right now.
Yeah.
I mean, wow, this is something else.
Don't blame you. Look at that.
Unbelievable. Lincoln City is our Chinook Beach camera. It is gorgeous out there. That person is in awe as well down there at the bottom of your screen. But we have a time lapse of this too. We're going to show you that a little bit later on as the sun goes down. Here's today's high temperatures. In Portland, we made it to 48 degrees, a little below average, and for the most part, it was a few degrees below average for everybody here on the west side of the Cascades. Much cooler over on the east side, especially out there in Baker City. At 39 degrees, we made it to 40 in Burns today, and there's that radar where we're still seeing just a few real light scattered showers, especially off to the north of our forecast area there towards Battleground, Amboy, and then a little farther north towards Kalama. Temperatures are in the 40s still in the Columbia River Gorge. We're at 28 at Government Camp. We're going to talk a little bit more about the snowfall up there on the mountain coming up here in just a little while. But let's talk about Portland. Winter has certainly made its return with a little bit of snow here in the overnight hours on the east side and in the upper elevations. That ridge of high pressure that's been hanging off the coast there is going to continue to stay west for the most part. And then we have some real cold air coming in once we get into early next week. This is the coldest air that we've had in place since Christmas. That arrives on Monday. Will be mainly dry. And what I'm keeping a close eye on here is the period between Sunday night and Monday morning. If we cool down really fast, we could see a little bit of snowfall there Sunday night. Again, we'll keep a close eye on that, and as we get closer, we'll have a better idea on how all that's going to time out. A few light showers on the coast, though, tomorrow. It'll be mainly in the afternoon hours. Temps will be in the upper 40s, close to 50 degrees. Here in the western valleys, mostly cloudy with a chance for showers around 3 o'clock or so. The gorge will be partly cloudy, especially over on the east side. Mount Hood could see a few flurries, but we do have snowy roads there over the passes because of all the snow that we've had over the past 24 hours. So be careful and be prepared if you're heading over to Highway 26. Eastern Oregon will be partly cloudy and dry, with temperatures in the 30s and 40s, very similar to what we had today. So this is a breakdown of your day. Light showers could pop up in the afternoon. Other than that, we are mainly dry and mostly cloudy for your day tomorrow. Then we're going to see showers on Friday. It'll be a little bit breezy, windy on Saturday with more showers on and off. And then Sunday's our big question mark there, with a chance for mixed showers on Sunday evening and into early Monday morning. Pete, you're definitely going to want to stay tuned as we get closer to that.
Okay, Brian, thank you. Coming up on the 5 o'clock news, a disturbing disease strikes a local 5-year-old. The warning from his father as his son fights flesh-eating bacteria. You may not want to, but you'll soon be able to legally eat roadkill. The new change in an Oregon law and why it's so important to some. A 5-year-old Vancouver boy with autism is recovering at Dornbecker Children's Hospital after doctors say flesh-eating bacteria nearly killed him. Doctors say Christopher Rainey has lost the largest part of his calf muscle and part of his hamstring to the bacteria. It usually forms after some sort of cut in the skin, but Christopher's father says there weren't any obvious signs. He says Christopher recently got over the flu and a double ear infection, so his immune system may have been weakened. They only took him to the doctor to get checked out after he started complaining about some pain in his leg.
This is definitely not like a sprint, give him some antibiotics and send him home. This is definitely going to be a marathon. I've all kind of either indicated or said it without really saying it, that it's like one more day and we would be having a different conversation. It would be he either lost his leg or he lost his life.
Christopher has had a blood transfusion and now has to use a feeding tube. His family says his autism is making it tough for him to understand what's going on. The CDC says this type of bacteria is rare and not contagious. There is a GoFundMe page to help with Christopher's medical expenses. For a link to that, just head to our website, kptv.com. Pot and your pets. It's a combination that can turn into a scary situation, both for the animal and its owner. Veterinarians at Dove Lewis Animal Hospital in Portland say they've seen a pretty dramatic increase in cases of pets being poisoned after ingesting marijuana since the drug became legal for recreational use. In some cases, they say owners make the mistake of thinking they're helping an ailing pet, very often a dog with chronic pain. But dogs are more sensitive to the drug than people are, and even a small amount can leave them comatose. In the case of a Ridgefield woman, she thinks her dog found a leftover edible at a vacated campsite while they were out for a hike. What happened next, she says, was a scary experience.
She had dropped her body temperature to sort of moderate hypothermia levels, so that we warmed her. And by the time I took her there, she was completely unresponsive.
Coming up on the 10 o'clock news, what you need to know about the effects of marijuana on your pets. Also coming up on the 5 o'clock news, it's something that some parents don't ever want their kids to see. The controversial TriMed ad that prompted a response by a popular dating site. And a live look right now at the high school in Florida where a school shooting left 17 people dead. Detectives on the scene right now. Coming up, we talk with a local psychologist about how to talk about such a difficult subject with your family.